Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code TheRunPodcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but some NFL games I want to go to. So I'm definitely going to create me an account, use my $20 code, and save myself some money on these expensive-ass tickets. I know that much. Anyway, look, the season is here. It's been a lot. It was a crazy week 8 in the NFL. So, of course, I cannot wait to discuss. But the first thing I really want to discuss here is that we have an emerging asshole in the NFL. Yes. An emerging asshole. There's a team that's becoming assholes in the NFL, and that team is the Detroit Lions. They have absolutely no right to be this disrespectful in the NFL at all. Because why? Why? They just put up almost 50 points on the Tennessee Titans. They just beat the Titans, but a couple weeks ago, we seen them put up 50 points on the Cowboys, which is acceptable because, nobody really likes the Cowboys anyway. Everybody's like, whatever, it's the Cowboys. Slap 100 points on them. I don't even care. Put as many points as you want to on the Cowboys because nobody likes them anyways. Everybody likes to see Cowboys fans lose. So it was all fun and games when they did that to the Cowboys. But then they go over here back home in Detroit and they play against the Tennessee Titans that ain't did nothing to nobody, who ain't even a competitor in the NFL. And they give them all that work by putting up almost a 50 ball on them. Are you serious? Like, we know y'all are good, okay? Lions, we know y'all good. We know y'all put belt to ass every Sunday. We know what y'all can put up 50 points in a heartbeat on any team in the NFL. We get that, okay? But the fact is, y'all about to start becoming assholes because you're about to be on everybody's shit list. And I say that because putting up 50 points is just mad disrespectful. And then not only are you putting up 50 points, but hell, you got linemen lining up at receiver. You got linemen running routes. You got running backs throwing touchdown passes. Like, this is so disrespectful to the rest of the league, bro. Come on, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm all for, having a good time. But 52-14 against the Tennessee Titans. Really? The Titans ain't talk no trash. The Titans ain't tried to beef with nobody. The Titans just trying to survive. They barely been winning games. I don't even know the Titans' record. That's how irrelevant they are this season so far. The main thing the Titans has been in the news for is trading Hopkins and trading all of their players to other teams. This is a 1-5 team that you beat, and you made the 1-6. Not saying you should have showed them any mercy or anything, but damn, a 50 piece, that's what's crazy. And I think the part that's even crazier about all of this is the fact that Jared Goff didn't even do much in this game. The quarterback, Jared Goff, didn't do much. He only he completed 12 passes, threw 15 passes total. And yet the Lions still put up 50 points. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. And I say they're about to become the assholes, bro, because y'all beating everybody. We know the Lions are the most dominant team. I think that goes without saying. It shows every Sunday we watch the Lions. It's obvious that the Lions are the most dominant team in the NFL, but they even still have some weaknesses, which we'll touch on in just a sec. But I mean, this team isn't even at full strength, and they're putting up 50 points. On the offensive side, they were missing J-Mo. Imagine if they would have still had him trying to throw him the ball. Like, that would have been crazy. They're hitting on all cylinders, and the craziest part with the Lions is, yes, they're hitting on all cylinders, but they can get even better. It's wild. J-Mo comes back, that adds another layer to the offense. The offense right now, they're leading the NFL in points per game. They're first in points per game. And then even if you look at the defense, oh man, It can get nasty if this team was fully healthy. They're missing plenty of guys, but yet they're doing perfectly just fine. You got 2 safeties on the same team who are top 5 in interceptions. You have Joseph and Brian Branch, who are top 5 in interceptions on the same team. If that doesn't say dominant, I don't know what does. And the crazy part with the Lions, they're not at full strength on the defensive side. Aiden Hutchinson, we know he's missing. You got Davenport down, Kaminsky, Derek Barnes is still down. And you just lost Malcolm Rodriguez, another linebacker. So everybody on the front of that defense is missing. You're missing the key guys to help the Lions defense. So it's just wild that they're beating teams like this and having so much control of the game. And they're not even at full strength. Now, obviously, we know that's where the weakness does come in because the defensive front with the linebackers and the defensive linemen, they're not healthy. So that's really the weakest point with the Detroit Lions. But ultimately, that means nothing if teams cannot outscore them. There's not many teams in the NFL that can hang with the Lions scoring-wise on offense. Maybe only 1 or 2 teams, and those teams are on the other side of the conference, so you really have nothing to worry about. Anybody in the NFC who's scoring like the Lions right now? Hell no, it's not happening. But that true weakness with the Lions, the only weakness I've identified within their team is really the defensive front and the linebackers. That's it. That's it. Other than that, the issue's not even going to become evident until teams start keeping up with them with scoring. If teams can't score with them, then it doesn't matter how many stops the defense is getting. As long as they're good enough, then that's all that matters. But, man, this is crazy, man. Lions about to become assholes in this league. It's ridiculous to see them dominate in this fashion week after week after week, man. Like I said, Cowboys was cool. It was all fun and games. It's like, hey, hang up 50 on the Cowboys. Ha, 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 ha. Like, it was cool, but damn, bro, you start doing it. You're doing it every week. People about to start disliking you how they do the Chiefs. They're not going to like watching you go against teams and watching the games and watching you play against everybody else because they're like, this team is just too damn good. You know, that's how it goes. They love you when, you know, you're bad and you become good. But once you start getting too good, then they like, I don't know, man. We don't like him no more. That's what's going on with the Detroit Lions. It's slowly happening, but I guarantee it. Let the Lions win a Super Bowl. Let the Lions go back to the Super Bowl or continue to be a force in the playoffs. I guarantee it's happening. Teams are gonna start putting an X on that game right there or circling the game to really put the emphasis on it. Like, we got to beat the Lions. They about to become teams rivals outside of the division if they continue to beat teams like this. So I'm just saying, man, looking ahead, they got the Packers next week, and that's going to be a tough game. I mean, hopefully Jordan Love is at full strength. Hopefully Jordan Love is playing. That would be dope for the game's sake. Maybe we see an offense that can hang with the Lions and the Packers if Jordan Love is healthy, but I still don't think that's going to be the case because although the Lions defense have a lot of pieces that's missing on the defensive front, they still are getting it done, man. This defense is still top 5. They're still controlling the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, even though they got plenty of injuries. So Packers is next. Then you got the Texans, which is kind of in a similar predicament with the defense is struggling, but the offense is solid. But that's going to be the only 2 tough matchups within the next few weeks. And you had the Jaguars and I think Cardinals or something like that. But you'll see the Bills later on, which is, you know, in 49ers. But the schedule, they'll be okay. But I'm just saying, bro, Lions, they becoming the biggest assholes in the league. This is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. We ain't seen teams slap 50 back-to-back or back-to-back weeks. Was it back-to-back? No, they had the in-between. Okay. Yeah, but still, we ain't seen teams slap up 50 points this easy in a long time. That's just crazy, man. It's a little absurd. But look, we got a side note here, so don't go anywhere. Look, we're going to take a quick break and then jump into the side note. And you got to hear this because some of these teams is chalked, and there was a team I thought was about to be, like, chalked. We was about to write them off for the season. But they kind of opened my eyes. It kind of opened my eyes. So, hey, look, we'll be right back in just a sec. It's not halftime yet, but we got the side note coming up. All right, so we got a quick side note. And you know, last week, outside of the guest we had with Kevin Knight, we did this segment, you know, time to count them out. It was time to count them out. And it's just teams who've extinct. They need to start thinking about next year. We said the Jets was one of them teams they need to start thinking about next year. I don't know why the Jets are still relevant. I don't know why anybody's still talking about them, which is why we're not about to talk about them right now. But that's just an example of one of the teams we've covered. The other team who was almost there, so we're not going to count them out just yet, but they close. They right on the brink of it. And it's the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns was almost down and out. It was almost time for me to count the Cleveland Browns all the way out. I was almost done. I was about to write it off, scratch the name off on a list of teams who could possibly make something happen. And then here we go. We see the great Jameis Winston show up big for the Cleveland Cavaliers now. Cleveland Browns, the city of Cleveland. He really showed up and made something happen for them, and he gave the fans something to hope for. Now, if you don't know, the Cleveland Browns, they beat the Baltimore Ravens. They won 29-24, and now they're 2-6. This is a 1-5 team. This is a 1-6 team, correction. This is a 1-6 team, but they snapped a 5-game winning streak because of Jameis Winston, and now they're sitting at 2-6. Hey, I doubt anything can happen in that division, but it's just the fact they're giving Cleveland Browns fans something to hope for, man. Jameis Winston has given them something to hope for in going in the following weeks. You get something to be somewhat excited about, and at least you can watch some decent football. Some decent football. I won't even say good football or great football. You get to watch some decent football. Jameis Winston didn't play a spectacular game. He got the win, which is spectacular, but he didn't play a spectacular game. He was 27 for 41, completed 65% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. It was a great game. I won't say it's spectacular, but what's spectacular is the fact that Jameis Winston in the dog pound scored 23 points in one half, which is more than they scored in a single game the entire season so far. The highest points the Cleveland Browns have scored this entire season was 17 points. It's ridiculous that now, in a single half with a quarterback change of Jameis Winston, you give him one half to figure it out and you give him the second half to actually go ahead and close it and win a game. And that's what he did. He scored 23 points, which is the most the Cleveland Browns have scored in a single game all season, but he did it in a single half. I mean, damn, dude. I'm not no Browns fan, but I'm happy for him that they finally seen the bright side of NFL season, Because it sucks when your team is losing. When your team is bad like this and they're not winning games time after time, it sucks. The NFL season is awful. You sad every week. You sad every Monday. You sad every Sunday. You sad every Thursday. It's not anything fun. So I get it. It's bad for the Cleveland Browns fans, but this is something that's going to help them out. It gives them something to genuinely look forward to come next Sunday and any Sunday after that, as long as they got Jameis Winston in the game. And watching this game too, it even seemed like the offense helped shift the momentum to the defense. So typically the defense is out there, they're fighting for their life, they're playing hard, they're getting stops, all of this stuff. And, the offense go out there and lay another egg. They don't get anything. They get a field goal at best. But now with the offense actually being able to score, it gives the defense a little more intensity that, hey, we can put points up. Let's go get a stop. It is needed. So now the game is a little bit different. They have more momentum. It means they're working a lot harder when they're on the field because they know if they get a stop, the offense will actually go put points on the board rather than going out there and laying an egg. So it's a beautiful thing when your offense can create that momentum for your defense. But even then, you got to give the Browns defense some credit too, because they sacked Lamar Jackson 3 times. Sacking Lamar Jackson is not an easy task, bro. This is the fastest quarterback in the league, the most mobile, the most agile quarterback in the league, and you sacked him 3 times? That's huge. I believe it was 9 pressures they got to him. They had the highest rating of pressures this week in week 8. Like, come on, man. It was a great all-around game for the Cleveland Browns. They deserved this one. They deserved that win there. And for the Ravens, it was shaky. I will say, this is not the Ravens that you're used to seeing. We've seen a lot of drop passes, and specifically, it was Bateman who dropped 2 of them. One of them would have really, really changed the momentum of the game if he would have caught it. It was like a 60, 70-yard bomb that just literally smacked him straight in the helmet. It was sad to watch, but, they faced a difficult pass rush, and above all, when they needed these big plays on defense and on offense, they weren't able to make them. And this led to the Browns getting the win. So happy for the Browns, man. Shout out to them for, sticking with it and getting a dub here. I will say I still dislike how they did Jameis Winston or the other quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Still dislike how they did Deshaun Watson, but happy they got a win, man. This is definitely deserved for them. Ended up beating the Ravens 29-24. And even though they're 2-6, you're kind of like at the half of the season. I give them a little bit of credit, man. I'm not gonna chop them off just yet. Write them off. I'm not gonna do it just yet, but they're right on the edge. They're on the line. When they say draw in between the lines or draw in the lines, they are right on the line, damn it. So if they win next week, then we really got to have a conversation. It would be a great conversation to have if the Cleveland Browns were able to win next week. And it's not an easy conference or easy division that they're in. So, I mean, whatever. But this was just a big win. They played the Chargers and then the Saints after that, which is very doable. They can definitely make something happen against the Chargers, Saints. It's going to be a toss-up, but hey, the Browns come out with that same intensity, same momentum. They got another home game here. As long as they can keep winning at home, it'll at least give the fans something to be happy about when they got to go to work the next morning or something, you know? But anyway, look, hey, we got some news for the run coming up in just a sec. Leave a quick take. If you heard something you like, you dislike, you agree with, disagree, go ahead, leave a quick take. 219-413-9405. And of course, we're going to play your take back on our next episode. We're going to give some context, all of that stuff. So go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. Anyway, look, we'll be right back. It's halftime. We got some news for the run coming up in just a sec. All right, and news for the run. Let's get into it. Starting off with the MLB here because the World Series is going down right now, probably as we speak, depending on when you are listening to this. But as you know, it's the Dodgers versus the Yankees in the World Series. And the Dodgers, they currently have a 2-0 lead over the Yankees. So New York will look to try and show some type of fight as they play Game 3 tonight. Game 3 is taking place in New York. So this is a good thing for them. And hopefully they can make this a good series for the MLB, man. So far, it's been all Dodgers. They won the first game 6-3. They won the second game 4-2. And mind you, they did what they're supposed to do. They're at home. They're supposed to protect, home field and take advantage of being at home in front of the home fans. So now they're going to New York, and let's see what the Yankees can do here in this Game 3. Hoping for a good series, but above all, I think the Dodgers probably going to end up taking it. I never really gave a prediction, so this is not me giving a bold take, bold prediction. Obviously, Dodgers are up 2-0, so it wouldn't even make sense to give a fair prediction. But I think the Dodgers are going to take it. But anyway, look, let's go to La Liga action in soccer. So La Liga, we had the El Clasico. This was this past Saturday between Real Madrid and Barcelona. And Barcelona put belt to ass. Oh, man, it was bad. They won 4-0. And Lewandowski, he scored 2 goals. Yamal, he had scored a goal. Rafinha, he scored a goal as well, and that totaled up to the 4 points there for Barcelona. And man, that was rough. That was rough. I like Real Madrid, so this was like the one year I didn't really talk a lot of trash about Real Madrid winning, but I kind of knew it was going to be a little bit different. Them getting Mbappe, adding him to the mix. A lot of people thought it was going to be hype, like, oh, they're unbeatable now. But it does change the dynamic when you add another star, another stud in the lineup, because Vinny's already a huge star there, and still got Ronaldo who's there, or Rodrigo, Rodrigo who's there. You got a lot of guys on that team, and when you add someone like Mbappe, who's a huge name, it changes the dynamic. It changes the dynamic. And you still got Endricks, who's a young talent as well for Real Madrid. So you got a lot of guys on there who are talented, but I don't think they found the groove yet. I don't think they found it yet. But I will say, I seen a statistic, and it did make me smile a little bit after watching this. It was, they were saying last time Real Madrid lost El Clasico, and you will have to fact check this. I don't want you to go based on my word. This is just something I heard. I didn't even fact check it, but I'm just vibing with y'all, so I'm talking. But last time Real Madrid lost to Barcelona, Real Madrid ended up winning the Champions League. So, I mean, hopefully that's something that can happen again. I would love for that to be the case. I know last year was a little rough, but they ended up taking on some awards themselves. So anyway, look, man, let's move to college football because this is a crazy day for college football. Also in the NCAA. Just to recap a couple different scores. Oregon, they beat U of I. U of I was ranked number 20 and Oregon was ranked number 1. They won 38-9. Penn State, they won their Big Ten matchup 28-13 over Wisconsin. Ohio State was in a duel with Nebraska, who's also a Big Ten matchup, but they ended up winning the game 21-17. Texas, Vanderbilt almost had them. They almost upset another top 5 team. But Texas ended up taking care of business. They won 27-24. Miami, they smacked up Florida State, and they won 36-14, as a matter of fact. And then Alabama, or Texas A&M versus LSU, actually. This was another ranked matchup. Texas A&M ended up winning this game 38-23. It was a nice matchup until the second half. Second half, Texas A&M really just ran with it, man. They had 17 points in the fourth quarter, and they only held LSU to scoring 6 points total in that second half. So it was a solid game. But Alabama, they played Missouri. They smacked up Missouri 34-0. And then just to give y'all the new rankings too. So last week actually, we seen a couple different teams in different locations, but now we have a reorganized top 5. So last week, I'll just read it off. Last week, we had Oregon at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Penn State was at number 3, Ohio State at number 4, Georgia at number 5. This week, things are somewhat similar, but we got a new team that entered the top 5. Oregon's at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Penn State at number 3, Ohio State at number 4, and University of Miami is now top 5 as they filled that number 5 slot. And there's a couple other teams who are still trying to fight for that position, but Texas is at number 6, Tennessee number 7, Alabama moved back to 14. They actually moved up a little bit. And now you got Colorado with Coach Prime. They've entered the top 25 as they're sitting at number 23. They have a 6-2 record. So some of these teams, hey, they're creeping up. And you got to remember, this is the 12-team format now. So it's not just the top 4 teams. The top 12 teams make it to the playoffs, but the top 4 have a rest within the first 2 rounds or first round. Again, another area you got to fact check that, but the top 4 teams definitely get the privilege of having some sort of rest ahead of the playoffs. So definitely want to be top 4, but that was dope. Anyway, look, NFL scores here just to fill you guys in. So Thursday night football, we seen the Rams and the Vikings. The Rams ended up winning that game 30-20. The Eagles, they beat the Bengals 37-17. Browns, as you know, they beat the Baltimore Ravens. Lions smacked up the Titans like big bullies that they are. The Patriots, they beat the Jets. The Jets are now on a 5-game losing streak. And let me actually fact check that for you right now. Yes, a 5-game losing streak for the New York Jets. They lost to the Broncos, Vikings, Bills, Steelers, and just the Patriots, who are an awful team so far this year. But the Jets season, done. I'm not even about to go into detail about that. Anyway, the Packers, they beat the Jaguars. The Colts, they ended up falling short to the Houston Texans. The Chargers, they beat the Saints. Bills beat the Seahawks. Chiefs beat the Raiders. And the Commanders beat the Chicago Bears in a crazy, crazy matchup. It was a Hail Mary that ultimately led to the Commanders winning. It was Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels ended up pulling off the win. The Cowboys, they lost to the 49ers in prime time, which was just wild. And, my team here, the Atlanta Falcons, they ended up having to get that win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How they do. They won that game 31-26. And I loved what I seen on some parts, but other sides, I didn't really love it. So let's break it down a little bit. As we see, the Falcons, they ended up winning 31-26 here. And, this is a rivalry game in the division, of course. This is a big-time matchup. Buccaneers, they wore their creamsicle uniforms and stuff. They was really trying to stun on Atlanta. But the Falcons, they got Kirk Cousins, the man who walks in your trap and take over your trap. This is what he said. He was saying it before the game, and they were saying it after the game because they walked in the trap and took over the trap. However, we know Buccaneers didn't really have many weapons. They obviously was missing Mike Evans and then Godwin as well. Those two guys being out of the offense will really tear it apart. The struggle here for the Falcons, and the part that makes me somewhat upset about this win, is the fact that the game was so close despite the Buccaneers being down 2 star receivers. That is the part that really made me upset. That was the part that just rubbed me the wrong way because thankfully the offense for the Atlanta Falcons actually clicked, and thankfully they actually looked decent in this game and looked consistent in this game. We seen Kyle Pitts finally get involved. He had him some great receptions, had 2 touchdowns. One of them could have been a bonehead mistake, and it actually, realistically, it was a fumble in the end zone. Let's call it for what it was. That's exactly what it was. It was a fumble in the end zone. It was a stupid mistake, but thankfully they were okay, and the rest was just happened to be on the side of the Falcons. Wild. And then Bijan Robinson played a great game, had 63 rushing yards, 13 carries. Couldn't really find a touchdown, but definitely had some good runs that helped the Falcons out. I'm proud of the Atlanta Falcons offense. Watching this game, I'm content with what I've seen from the Falcons offense. They produced. They made things happen. They scored points, which is what we've been asking for the whole season. We've been wanting them to score consistently. The issue was the defense. The defense couldn't get a stop for nothing. They couldn't stop an ant from walking across the piece of the sidewalk. It was bad, bro. It was bad. They ran all over us. It's just the consistency. Obviously, we see the turnovers that the Falcons had in this game. You had the dope interception from Jesse Bates, and you also had the fumble from Jesse Bates, 2 turnovers that Jesse Bates forced, but they just don't tell the whole story. When you look at these things and you say, okay, well, Falcons defense is doing good. They forcing turnovers, and that equates to getting stops. Yes, I get what you mean there, but there's deeper context to the issues that's going on with the Falcons defense. The issues is that we can't stop a run game for nothing. The other issue is that we play over top every single play, that everybody is just picking us apart from underneath, whether it's short passes in the middle, swing passes to the flats, all of those things, and teams can get really, really creative. And ultimately, we're just giving up more and more and more yardage until a team gets to the red zone and they're able to kick a field goal. This is where we need to get stops. Allowing other teams to score points is not going to help us win games when the whole objective for your defense is to stop teams from scoring points. Like that's not beneficial at all. So in the beginning half of the season, it was Zach Robinson. We were like, okay, offensive coordinator, hey, we need you to tighten up. We need you to make some things happen, score the ball, score some points on the board. The defense was the solid piece. They were holding the Falcons together. And now it seems like the tide has turned just a little bit where the Falcons defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, just can't get it done at all. Thankfully, the Falcons is winning because the offense is rolling a little bit now. But, above all, if this team is really going to be a playoff contender and beat teams in the playoffs, beat teams at full strength when they're healthy, they're going to need to be able to play defense and not just rely on those fumbles and interceptions and rely on the other team's mistakes. You can't do that. You got to force them into mistakes. And right now, I haven't seen that from the Falcons defense. So I'm happy with what I've seen in this game. I'm happy they won. They're 5-3. They're undefeated in the division. They swept the division. They still got to play the Saints, I think, in a couple weeks. But next week, they got the Cowboys. And this matchup against the Cowboys, it's at home. So far, whenever the Falcons have played at home, it hasn't been beautiful. They haven't really impressed the home crowd with some great plays on both sides of the ball. And I'm hoping this is the change that we'll finally see the Falcons have that adjustment where they're playing great at home on both sides of the ball, meaning offense and defense. I would love to see if Kyle Pitts could still get involved in the offense, if Bijan Robinson still had himself a day. And I would love to see if Drake London was able to have a comeback game because they didn't really feed him the ball last game against Tampa Bay. He didn't really touch the rock. He wasn't getting fed at all. And that's going to be something that needs to change because when the Cowboys come to town, it's really hit or miss, but just best believe everybody's going to be watching the game and everybody's going to have an opinion on that game. So last week, must-win situation. You want to extend that positive record. be 5-3 instead of 4-4. But this game against the Cowboys is also just as important because it's going to be a test of that legitimacy. How good are the Atlanta Falcons? Everybody else is beat down on the Cowboys. Can the Atlanta Falcons do that? These are going to be some of the questions that you're wondering. So I'm hoping they come out with it, man. Hopefully it's all good. And I'm happy Kirk Cousins did his thing. But above all, it's just the inconsistency within the defense, man. They got to get it together. They got to get it together, man. We need both sides to click in order for things to really go well. And in order for teams to actually win, for this team to actually win, and for other teams to actually be somewhat worried about coming into Atlanta and playing the Atlanta Falcons. Other than that, look, man, hey, leave a quick take on our voicemail line. You got something to say, you want to go ahead and get something off your chest, 219-413-9405. Of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. Also, use the promo code, get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code, The Run Podcast for SeatGeek. This code can only be applied through the mobile app or the website for SeatGeek. And I'm going to go to some games, so I'm going to use the promo code, create me an account, all of that stuff. But other than that, man, I'm going to leave y'all with this positive note here. You know, hey, like I said about the Lions, you know, they love you when you're down bad and you're coming up. But just remember, man, when you're up, just keep focusing on yourself because teams don't not like that you're so good. Same way, people might not like that you're so good. You're having so much success. The Lions is having a lot of success. And you see, I'm on here hating about them, and everybody else is about to start hating on them really, really soon. So I just want to say, focus on yourself. Don't worry about, you know, what's being said about you, whether you're in the stages of grinding and get it done, or you in the stages of already being there and, you know, you're seeing some of the success that you've been wanting. So just keep that in mind. And I'll leave y'all with that. But other than that, look, man, I'll see y'all later on next week. Check out the episode 2 I had with our Falcons insider on the Falcoholic. He definitely is a cool dude. Kevin Knight, man, covers the Falcons, also has his podcast as well. But check out that episode, man. We were talking about that Seahawks matchup and then the preview of what was going to happen in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. But thankfully, Falcons won just as we was hoping for. But check that out. Anyway, look, man, we'll be back later on next week and later on this week, actually, and so on and so on and so on.